quietly punish connection. The difference is whether or not you return and how you communicate. My name is Carlos, and today we're going to talk about silence as communication. It's still communication, y'all. So let's talk about the best way to handle silence in a relationship. My wife and I, Chantel and I, we are known as the Amish Matchmakers, not because we're Amish, but because we've helped over 30 couples to match up in the last 6 years. And most of them were of the Anabaptist culture, religion, language. And we guided them individually and helped bring them together to create a beautiful, epic marriage. And we continue to lead and guide people through this process, which gave us a reputation because most of them were of the Anabaptist background. We became the Amish matchmakers. When you help one and it snowballs and you help many, we've helped them in marriage, helped them through the ceremonies, even officiating weddings throughout the last 6 years. Chantel and I doing it together as one flesh. So we help people, we help Amish find godly spouses, create epic marriages, and develop a legacy that is rooted in faith, freedom, and above all else, love. So thanks for being here. We are men who were taught strength means keeping everything inside. Oftentimes we avoid conversations because we don't want conflict, we don't know what to say, or we believe our feelings will make us look weak. But silence does not remove the problem. It actually leaves the other person guessing. There's a very powerful verse that helps in this talk, or it's called James 1:19. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to becoming angry. This verse does not tell us never to speak. It actually teaches us to slow down, that our words can create connection. Slow down, pause, and learn to communicate effectively with honor. Learn to ask questions. So, our old belief, and in Triggers to Triumph, we process this, that triggers and come from trauma, from a lot of times from our formative years of our childhood, and then we repeat history, or we repeat what we think is our story in our life over and over and over through our teenage years and in our 20s and our 30s and 40s. And maybe you're now in your 60s or 70s wondering why you do the things you do, why you respond the way you respond. And that's real. So it's important to understand that the old belief may be holding you back, that you think if I say something, I can make things worse. So then you choose silence, and you're still processing in your brain, defending yourself in your brain, making excuses in your brain. You follow me? The new truth is I can pause without disappearing, and then I can come back and communicate with honor and love. I can ask questions to bring clarity and unity. So we have a little framework. I love acronyms. This P&L. Not that we're going to make it into an official framework, but it's really just kind of a framework of understanding and how Triggers to Triumph can work in a quick fashion. So you pause, don't react in fear or defending yourself in what you think is right. And then name it. Identify what is actually happening inside. Oftentimes we feel a certain way and we're like, why do I feel this way? But if we'll pause and go, okay, I've been through this before. I have felt this way before. When was the first time I felt this way? You can identify where it comes from. And maybe you won't. Maybe you're just all stirred up and frustrated. And this always happens to me, right? And you're all in that state of mind that always, once you start speaking in terms of absolutes, it's a good signal and sign that you're probably triggered and experiencing a loop of trauma from your childhood or from your past. And so and the story matters in that fashion. So when you name it and understand where it comes from, it helps you to forgive. It helps you to not take it personal and be able to then lead in the next part of the conversation by asking questions for clarity and bringing words of honor versus accusations and accusing through this is what you're doing. Maybe you can ask questions to bring unity and clarity, bring understanding. So powerful questions the best, most honoring questions will bring understanding for you to understand where they're coming from and why they're doing and saying what they're saying versus taking it personal. Are you following me? All right. Here's a little phrase you could try saying in the midst of a situation, whether you're male or female. This is my love talk to men, how to communicate well today. But women, you as well. It's good to communicate. There are women too that believe silence is best. And our internal process, you got internal process, you got verbal processors. And I happen to be more of a verbal processor for sure. I've done my best to learn to process quietly internally, but it was definitely a muscle and a skill that I had to work. And same with my wife, Chantel. She is more of an internal processor for sure. And she has flexed the muscle and the discipline of working on being more of a verbal processor so we can meet in the middle. Can you tell there's a give and take in life? It's very powerful. But in this situation, a good script to memorize, we try to give you practical things to say and do. And in this case, verbalizing um, this would be helpful to have a script. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't want to speak carelessly or defend myself in this moment. Can you give me a few minutes? And I promise I will come back and we can talk. I need a few minutes to process these. I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's okay to even express how. And as a verbal processor, if you're working with an internal processor say, and they automatically say this, feeling a little overwhelmed right now. Need a few minutes to process this. I promise I'll come back and talk to you about it. You as a verbal processor said, what? Why did I say that overwhelmed you? Why are you overwhelmed? No, that is not honoring. If that's your agreement, if they use this script, you have to honor that. You have to be willing to be silent. But what's super powerful is you'll find as a verbal processor, again, giving them permission to have time and take time, but also it brings you peace. I know it does for me. There's been many situations where Chantel and I are processing through something and she is feeling overwhelmed. Matter of fact, driving in a car, long trips, road trips will be in a discussion of life and relationships and connections and things we're working on, goals we're going after, or things we're trying to accomplish in business. And sometimes I just fire up the questions and I start communicating and go down verbal process 100 miles an hour. And she internally processes. So all the verbally processing that I'm doing can overwhelm her because she wants to stop and think about it. I just keep asking questions, keep looking for answers. What's that? Are you following me? Can you understand how this is? And by the way, put in the comments whether you're a verbal processor or you're an internal processor. I'd love to hear this and understand where you come from and where you can relate and fit into these situations. So we will get and I will, because I'm firing off questions, it will overwhelm her. And it always brings me peace though, because I will then sit there, I'll ask a few questions, and then I'll sit there. I'll literally look at my watch when we're driving down the road and I'll be driving. And I'll realize like 10 minutes has gone by and she hasn't said a word. But what's going on inside of me is I'm thinking, is she upset? Is there something wrong? What's going on? Do you follow me? Like it's just this process of bam, 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 all these things that are wrong and what's happening. And in the reality, there's nothing wrong. She's just internally processing. And it is such a blessing to me when she will say, pause and say, hey, a little overwhelmed right now. Let me process through all these things. And then I'll give you an answer, but I need to process and think about it for a few minutes. That blesses me. Or even say, I'll talk to you a little bit later about this or tomorrow if we're in passing having conversations. So it's not weakness. Men, I know you as well, that most men, I would say, for the most part, are a lot of times internal processors. I've seen it a lot. And so it's not weakness to communicate that. It's leadership. It's knowing who you are and knowing that you do oftentimes get overwhelmed and can't think straight and can't come up with answers right there in the moment on that spot. And it's okay to acknowledge that and say that. And those of you ladies that have husbands or boyfriends or fiance or someone you're building a relation with and you're looking for the answer now, where's the answer? When's the answer? And you're the verbal processor, right? And it is interesting with Chantel and I because the typical relationships, women are more of the verbal processor. Matter of fact, they say that women say have, so many thousands of words every day compared to men's hundreds or something. I don't know. But the point is that women definitely tend to be more of the verbal processors and communicate more often than men do. And we'll ask lots of questions, keep trying. Hey, and men are just like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. And it's not weakness, men, to say that. I need to process this for a few minutes. I'll come back to you. Feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. And maybe, men, it's even good for you to write it down and journal it a little bit. Write down some of your thoughts so then you could read it back to her. I know that has come up many times with men that we work with. They get overwhelmed, they can't articulate their thoughts right, their wife's looking for answers. It's real. We have seen it very productive for Chantel and I. Again, me being the verbal processor and her more of the internal processor, to meet in the middle in this process, but also to communicate well and let me know when I'm waiting for an answer that, hey, I need to think about some things. I'm a little overwhelmed right now with all the questions you just asked me. You asked me 20 questions, Carlos. Let's just start with one or two. Let me come up with the answer with that. You follow me? And women tend to do that to their husbands. It's real. So, triggers to triumph. We have three core activities: triggers to triumph, MVP, and Epic 30, and they very much are real and applicable here. Especially triggers to triumph when you're feeling criticized, you're triggered, you're misunderstood or disrespected in that moment. If you pause, but don't shut down, don't withdraw, don't become defensive. You can communicate. I need a moment. I'm a little overwhelmed. Recognize the trigger, but return with words of honor. Return with truth. Return with questions that bring clarity and understanding. Because in that moment when you're feeling overwhelmed, say, well, let me start with question number one. What was that question again? Let me process it. And then bring questions for clarity if you don't understand what her question was or what his question was. You follow me? This is triggers to triumph because now we're walking out a new story of how I process, walking out a new story of honor and questions to bring unity and clarity. Now, MVP, create reconciliation and connection. When you think about MVP, it's mission, vision, peculiar. We can even, part of it is my new identity is going to answer appropriately. My new identity is going to honor the person in front of me, whether they're a verbal processor or an internal processor. I'm going to honor the process. If they are verbal, I'm going to ask them to communicate with me a little bit more to clarify because I'm not understanding the question from them in that moment. Instead of me just shutting down, I can ask them questions to allow them to verbalize it, give them space to verbalize and work it out verbally and not allow it to overwhelm me, but recognize that's them processing. So, but with MVP, what we can do is to also in that situation we can say, what is my mission? Well, I want to bring reconciliation, unity in this process. What's my vision? I see the conversation ending with greater understanding, with greater connection, greater affection, greater depth to our relationship. And then what's peculiar in this situation? Well, I can be a man that has the courage to communicate first, that has the courage to verbalize things, write it down, and then even read it to her. That's powerful. Don't be limited. Don't hold on to that old story as I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to verbalize. Yeah, you're right. because you keep thinking that and believing that instead of creating a new strategy. Do you follow me? Now, Epic 30 is essential for you that are internal processors and for you that are verbal processors too. Both sides. Why? Because Epic 30 creates a structure of honor and it creates a structure that causes us to verbalize things as well for those of you internal processors. We get to process, journal, write some things down, some disciplines that are good for internal communicators and internal, processors. And then the verbal processors get their opportunity to articulate and speak it out audibly. So it's a powerful process of practicing both sides of it: journaling, writing it out, releasing, receiving, and giving. But also in this process, we can release my control of the situation. I can receive a better version of the things that I'm processing. And I can give someone honor and honest answers and communicate well. That's what we're building here is the skills. So before today ends, can you complete this sentence with someone important? Here it is. Ready? Another script. Something I have had difficulty communicating is. Again, something I have had difficulty communicating is. Now, maybe this is a coworker, maybe it's a boss, but you're learning to verbalize and audibly communicate well and ask good questions. And so this is part of it. Something I have had difficulty communicating is, and then fill in the blank. What is it? It's a powerful phrase. And it's also a powerful phrase. Again, the scripting that way is when you feel overwhelmed to let them know. If you're a internal processor, feeling a little overwhelmed right now with all the questions, can we pause and address one question at a time and then allow me the time to internally process it? Think about it. Is that fair? You follow me? That brings honor on both sides. Your goal is not to solve everything. Your goal is to create honest unity and connection. I want to ask you a question today as well. I've got a question for you. If you're single, by the way, we'd love for you to join us. We have a singles group on the Skool platform, Skool. It's called Single to Married, and it is what it is. You go there if you're single, and we want to give you the skills, the strategies, and the scripts. You've got to process a step-by-step process that if you follow it, we have seen people get engaged in less than 90 days. I know, a little overwhelming. Don't be overwhelmed by it. It's just the reality of what people have been able to accomplish, going from meeting someone to connecting and effectively communicating, having confidence, and then staying committed to the process to where when they follow the steps, yes, they've been engaged in less than 90 days with a very happy, successful marriage. And you too can have those results if that's what you want. If you like being single, then hey, single to married is not for you. But go to Skool group, single number 2 married, and you'll find us. And it's geared specifically for singles. And tonight we have a Q&A. And so I wanted to encourage you as you attend the Q&A tonight. If you join us, it's very exciting to get to work with you. I wanted to ask this question: when does taking time to process become a healthy space? And when is it avoidance or punishment? Okay, we're going to process through that question tonight on our Skool platform for single to married. If you want to prepare for a healthy communication and connection in your marriage, you want to join us tonight. We'll continue on in this process and answering more and more questions. You don't have to figure out connection by yourself. You can go to that Skool platform and join us there. Now, if you're married and you want to continue to create an epic life and develop your marriage and your relationship skills, join us over at Epic Your Life. That is our parent company. You can see it here on this video. And it's a Skool group where we're developing legacy, continuing to help you develop your relationship skills, create an epic marriage, and develop a legacy that is rooted in faith, freedom, and above all else, love. So check us out on YouTube. We have lots of replays here, lots of videos and shorts and these longer videos, but Can you tell someone what you've had difficulty communicating with them? Can you do that today? It's very powerful when you do. Brings great conversation, great connection, and will deepen your relationships when you can be honest and honoring in that honesty. All right. Could you do me a favor as well? We'll continue to bring content here and continue to communicate well on our YouTube channel. But would you like and subscribe to the Amish Matchmakers here on YouTube? It's beneficial. And then post this, replay it. It will help to get the word out and help to make a difference in lives and relationships. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. And again, those of you attending our Q&A tonight, let's process through this question. When does taking time to process become healthy space, and when does it become avoidance or punishment? We'll see you tonight.